doesn't this work? There's a problem here. Oh yeah. So it's fine now. Text. Okay. Yeah, it's fine now. Okay, so we have a markdown library here, and the documentation for the markdown is pretty simple. So here, if I updated the text to this dot text, which is text area, yeah. So right now, what I'm doing here is each time the key goes up, I'm updating the text that should be here with whatever I type. So if I type hello here, how are you doing? Yeah, so whatever I type here gets updated automatically here. So the next thing is what if you want it to be in a markdown form? So for the marked library, okay, let's see. So the documentation is pretty simple. You just have to wrap it around marked. So once you have this, it's going to convert it to markdown. So here I'll just put marked, the file right before. Yeah, right here. So here to type normally, then if I put a hashtag 3 this isn't working. Yeah. Okay, so right now what it's doing is it's just getting the code for me. So yeah. Okay. So now that we know this works for now, we'll jump straight into React. So React makes it much more for those of you who are not familiar with React, it's pretty cool to use, but it takes a while to master. No. Yeah. So simply what I'm doing here is once my app runs, I'm going to do this, and right here we'll see the hello world I put here comes up here. So that's simply how React works. So React, whatever you want to render, you put it as the first argument, and where you want to render it would be the second argument. So I'm rendering it in the div called output, which is right here. If you guys are having problems, I can change the J to HTML, but that's if you want. I'll just go on with J for now. So so the create class function is actually creating a tag I could use. So this is React syntax. And each React stuff must always have a render function. So if I did the same thing here, LD, and if I replace this with, let's just make it shorter, markdown, if I run, gives me the same output. Change this to hello there, see, same output, hello there. Okay, so what we want the React to do is to get this for us, get whatever we type, and then convert it here. So I'm going to have a function get initial state. So I'll return text empty. So for here, I'm going to do this dot state dot text. Okay, now have a function component did mount function. So this function is automatically called when your stuff renders at first. So the initial time hello there renders, this function is going to be called immediately. It's part of the React lifecycle, I would call it. So component did mount. So in this function, I'm going to listen to my text area. So this is the same function I wrote previously. So whenever I type something into my text area, I would say this.setState text area dot val. Okay, yeah. So I'll run. See. So it currently isn't updating. So let's see. So let me find out if it's actually doing this. Something was typed here. So H. So this is the set state text. To this. So this, so it says this does set state is not a function. Oh yeah, because React has this binding mechanism. I don't know if it's JavaScript or React, but if there's any function you call, if you want to access this, which you would access normally, you have to bind that function to the current stuff. So right here, yeah, so this is fine. Yeah, so right now I want to make this marked. Okay, so right now it's giving me the output in HTML. Well, I don't want the HTML, I want just the text. So, and React, yeah, so React has this called dangerously set inner HTML. I have no idea why it's called that, but then what it simply does is, for example, this text I have, which is showing up here, here you are, it would help me convert it into back into HTML. Yeah, so this is what I'll do. Let's copy this. So right here I'm going to have my div. So instead of this, I would say dangerously set HTML equals two curly braces underscore underscore HTML equals marked this dot state dot text. So then if I run, find it's fine, put this here, get my h1, escape, get my h2, okay, and then so for this text box I'm going to make it larger because it's so small. So for text area, set my rows equals, let's say 20. Yeah. Yeah. So this, and then if I want to type code, just like I showed in the previous example, yeah, so whatever you type becomes very good. So the amazing thing about React is React lets you separate your code. So now I know this markdown is just the output I want. So it's basically saying, okay, each time I want to render, I am dangerously setting the inner HTML, which is basically you're putting out what is here, and then you're marking it with the markup and then outputting it to this area. So whenever I write here, it becomes to this side. So let's see our user stories. So first of all, it says, don't look at the example project's code. I didn't look at it. Fulfill the below user stories. You must use both Sass and React, which I did. I can type GitHub flavored markdown, which I did. I can see a preview that's updated as a type, which I did. And then I didn't have to. Yep. So challenge is done. Then I have completed this challenge, and then I copy my link, paste it here, submit. So now the next one is the camper leaderboard. And just a quick note, I actually update my pens once in a while to increase functionality and make them look better. So good. Leaderboard. Okay, so the next challenge is a camper leaderboard. So what we are meant to do is to sort of replicate this. So this is an app that one of the campers built. Let me get the URL and show you. See? Yeah. So for those of you familiar with freeCodeCamp, you would know that people get brownie points for answering questions in the chat, and then this one shows the activity and the number of points the person has based on how much helpful the person has been in the chat rooms and how much of the work the person has completed in the curriculum. So I'm not on this list because I don't know. And then all time, I'm also not on the list. Yeah, so basically you're meant to do something to replicate this. Yeah, not to replicate this, to replicate this. So you just have the person's points in the last 30 days and the person's all-time points. So now you see for the past 30 days, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same as the all-time, because some people might have been more active all-time than in the past 30 days, and some people might have just joined in the past 30 days and have done lots of work. Yeah. So we'll begin. So CodePen.io. Oh Lord. This. New pen. Then I'll basically do the same thing. Add jQuery, React, Sass, Bootstrap. Then I make it Jade. Then this is I call it freecode 100. So I don't want my app to auto update, so check that. Yeah. So now since I have Bootstrap, I'll just jump straight into my nav bar. So first start with the container. Then you have So have a navbar default. Just for nav. So let's run and see. Yeah. So see the navbar right here. Let me make the color so it's actually clearer. Yeah. So I'm going to try to, I don't know if I should make it look like this, but I think it's alright. So I have my color picker, pick color from page, I'm going to pick this color, then I'm going to have navbar, background color, this, run, yeah. So then for this, you can easily grab the image URL, then so okay. Okay, so in your navbar, depends on how you want to do it, but I check documentation before. So container fluid, then have my navbar header, then a href equals sorry, it should be image source. Yeah, so this is the freeCodeCamp logo right here. It looks really small, but who cares? So next thing is we're going to have this. So this is where we're going to our React. So we can easily do this, but I prefer to put all my code in React. So first we're going to start designing. So for our React, we need to have let's make this a colon large 6 colon large offset 3. Sorry. Yeah, let me just put some text here. Let's see, just to make sure it's where we want it to be. Yeah, it's right there. So for this one, we're going to have a div called table guess. So this is the div we are going to render our React to. So React can render to any part of the page. It doesn't have to render to the whole page. Yeah. So React, let's run and show you. So text is out of here. React.render div document get element by ID table. Have an addiction to hello world. Run. Okay, so there's a problem. So this has ID table rendering. Oh yeah, it has to be pre-processed by Babel. Okay. Yeah. Now if I run, I get my hello world right here. Well, this isn't what we want. We want to have a table. Now we start building our class. Variable table. Yeah, one amazing thing I like to do when I'm writing code is at each step I make sure my code is running fine. So you don't write the entire code and then come back and start checking if it's fine. At each step, you check if every update you add to the code doesn't break your code. So here's another hello world. So let's make this a header 1 tag so it will stand out. Which doesn't work. Have an idea why? Let's have a look. So there's an error somewhere, I guess. RIAC is not defined. Thank you. Yep, right here. Hello 1, hello world works fine. So we have a table like this. So let's put our header, which is leaderboard. And you may think it's weird that I'm writing HTML within a JavaScript file, but it's the feature that pre-processing with Babel allows for. So if you have this sort of code, it's fine. So we have a H1 leaderboard. Let's just give it a class of board heading. Then we build our table. So we say, so for table we also use the bootstrap table. Now this isn't the table we have here. This is the normal table that comes with HTML. So you have a class equals table bordered. So let's see, bootstrap table. Sorry, yeah. So table bordered right here. Okay, so we have a head. Close our head. Then we have row, which would contain our column items, and then td. Let's put a hashtag here. So this guy has just 4 rows. And here we just put us 30 days. Right here we'll have all time. Run. Weird. So table classic or stable, table bordered. I think I missed something. Should be TH, yeah. So for each of these, change them to H. Run. Camper nameless 30 days all time. Okay, so that's for our head. Now we have a body. Okay, so now this is where it gets really interesting, because all this data we have to get them from the API. So now for this we're going to use our get initial state function. So we're just going to return recent, all time, and then yeah, let's keep it simple for now. Okay, so keeping it simple. Now in our T body, we want to return a row for each item in our, like, let me just give you an example. So copy this and we paste it here. So this is the data that freeCodeCamp gives us. So we want the recent points, right? Sorry. Yeah, so we want the guys with the highest totals to be on top, and then the guys with the lower ones to be nowhere to be found. So simply what we gonna do here is take this to state dot. Let's use the current map function item I. It has to be okay. So right here, we're going to return tr. So we have a row, right? And then for each row, we have a table data, if that's what TD is called. Then we're just going to put the index +1. Now, to see if this works, we can put just one item in the recent and it will work fine. Come on. Recent, not current. Yeah, so we can see the first guy we put, we gave him an ID of 167 678 points over the last 30 days. Yeah, and 32 all time. So this is just false data. So right now we really want to get our data. So now component.mount, like I showed you in the previous zipline, is called once your thing is rendered. So if I had no item here, then it doesn't render anything under. So there's a problem somewhere. Function. Yeah. So now this is where I'm going to be doing my API calls. So to do an API call in jQuery, you just do .get JSON, and now we copy the URL, which is right here. Paste the URL in here, and the sort column name is going to be total. Yeah. And then if it's successful, it comes with my data. Now since this is the recent, see this dot set state recent to recent. Now let's see what happens. Refresh. Recent is not defined. Data, I mean. This dot set state. Now, just like the key up, we have to bind this function, so we'll be able to do this. So right outside the closing tag of the function, you bind to this. Refresh. Yeah. And now we'll see 100 values, 1 to 100. Press OK. Okay. So the reason why it wasn't was because we were using class, not class name. Yeah, so there should be more. Yeah, camera name, that's 30 days all time. Okay, now from our API, we'll see that we have the username. So right here, for the first one, we can do item.username. Forget to parse. So we're getting same guy for 1234. Okay, so now that we have updated for the username, let's see what happens. Yeah, so each one gets a username. So then the last 30 days should be points recent. Hmm. Yeah, so these are the points for the last 30 days. Now, so next thing I want to do is to make sure that when one of these is clicked, it is active. So if I want to see for the last 30 days, I see what they have for the last 30 days. I want to see for all time, I see what they have for all time. First, I'll do the same thing. Same thing here, but this one is all time. Here we're gonna say all time. Yeah. So we just put minus if it isn't ready. Okay, so we want to differentiate when this is active and when this is active, right? So, okay, so let's see, active. Okay, so here because active is not defined, it's false and it shows B. So what we want to put here is a star. And then if it's true, put nothing. And then for this one, let's say recent active, and we have to set the default permission. So right here, I'm gonna put recent active to be true. So recent is active and all time is inactive. and then we're going to do similar for all time. But here I would say if recent is active, if reset is active, we don't want anything, but if it's not active, we want a star. Yeah, so that's 30 days is showing right now. Yep. So yeah, for all time. So what we're going to do is we're going to set like a click event for both of them. Hello. I'm really sleepy right now. So let's see. So we're just going to have two functions called set previous so set previous would just say this set recent. So we're setting the recent to true, and the next one we set the all to true. So we have a set to this, and we also need to have a set next false. Let's see what that brings. You see, So this is as far as I've gone. Last 30 days, all time. So still trying to get the all time to work. My brain is shutting down. I'm really sleepy. Well, yeah. So this is the original app. Points in the past 30 days, all time points. Active, not AVC. Yeah, guess that was the problem I was having. Let's still see any issue. Yeah. Okay, so if it's all time, we want everything here to be a minus. So in our render function, if there's the state, so if recent is active, then let's say list to render equals this state dot what's the baby called? The recent else so all time okay, so right here I'm gonna do okay, so right here I'm gonna have something much more confusing. So for our column here, if it's here, we're gonna have this dot state dot. So if our recent is active, we know that we are gonna have this as the text. Otherwise, we're gonna have this minus. Then the other way, either we have let's see. What's wrong with the code? Let's see. pen.js88. So we're mapping here, so we have to bind this function. Okay, so right here, gonna bind this. Yeah, I switched on all time. Yeah, it seems to be okay. So I think I'm getting the wrong values for the APIs. Okay, so this is tagging, but it's given the same values for both recent and active. Let's see recent and total. So our all time should give St. Peter as the first guy. Oh yeah, meant to render the list, so it isn't this author, it's list to render. Here we go. So 74. So all time has no values. Okay. So this is for the all time. This is for the last 30 days. So since this works for now, I am going to have a good morning sleep and Happy New Year, guys. Have a wonderful night.